The following was recorded in front of a live studio audience at the Studio 21 Podcast Cafe. This is the United Podcast Network.
If you're planning on buying or selling a home, the real estate crew's got news for you at the Real Estate House Party.
With attorney Rick Carter,
Real Estate House Party.
paralegal Kathy Holtshouser,
Real Estate House Party. Come in, have fun.
and comedian Tony V. Now, here's real estate attorney Rick Carter.
Welcome and thanks for joining us here on the Real Estate House Party. It's just three of us today.
Yeah, Tony's so happy today.
Tony's so happy. You know, you guys have been here for a while now. Usually you have a...
I couldn't hear you, Tony.
You couldn't hear.
Oh, there you
We're
go.
good now.
All right.
Yeah.
It's all right.
What the heck's going on over there, Mr.
It's
Ed
going
Sullivan?
fine.
That's right. That was my plan for the day. I was just going to do mime.
Tony's very funny. You should actually hear him when he's talking.
Very funny physical
He's
comedian.
that little physical bit is working very nicely.
Yeah.
Remember at our old radio show, Jane? Should I not say
The
that?
producer
You can say
of our
her, you
show.
can say her first name.
When we've been telling her
Yeah.
the concept of the show for years, and 4 months finally in, she goes, you know, that Tony's very funny.
Yeah.
Funny things.
We just sit around and laugh hysterically, and of course he's funny.
She
That's his
She would
job.
have been a prototype blonde.
Yeah.
I hope, Jane, I hope you don't listen.
No,
you're not listening
we're
to our
making that up.
podcast.
That's not her real name.
Lovely woman.
Yeah, that's right.
That was
so-
just a ubiquitous Jane, like
Yeah,
Jane
yeah.
Doe.
Yeah, we-
Yeah.
Yeah. If it was a guy, we'd call her John Doe.
Yeah.
So
But we
you
got
guys
Jane.
you guys got any family stories? I mean, we were talking family. People should.
No,
we're gonna have Ed
listen.
Sullivan tape us before the show from now on.
I know, 'cause we have a lot of
We're gonna get some
chit-chat.
good stories out there.
You had a lot of good
Now,
stuff.
listen, let's
Yeah.
address the elephant in the room right now.
Yeah.
You.
Right.
Is that a weight joke again?
What is?
I don't throw
What
stones
is
that
Lenny's
way.
line? I'm fat.
I'm fat. I'm not deaf.
That's right. No, you had a little.
Oh, I did, but
a little medical issue
yes,
that
maybe,
we should tell people
maybe
about.
we should talk about that for our. We'll talk about a little bit about now, but maybe for our New Year's Eve.
Little health scare.
yeah.
Maybe we'll do our plan for 2019, and that
And
we
you
should
should
eat
tell
right.
you should tell them about the spanking you got from Dr. Patel.
Oh, I did. They said I got to do cholesterol medicine and eat better. And,
What's he got? Oh, cholesterol. Is it your cholesterol?
well, he thinks it's up
A little
there.
high.
What, 1,050? Is that up there?
No, you're
Yeah, that's
lying.
pretty- wow.
You're lying. No, he's lying.
That might win a record.
I
That
think
might be a record.
that means you're dead.
That means you got caulking in your veins.
Rick only has like one food group,
I know.
Pizza.
Yeah, pizza.
We
We're
went through
talking
this.
about
He,
that.
he
yes.
loves his pizza.
and he likes chicken Caesar salad. He doesn't.
I
like,
do chicken.
He doesn't really like any other vegetables except for salad.
Yeah.
You got to get into veggies, man.
Yeah, my mother
Yeah.
growing up, I gotta.
Yeah.
You know, I guess we shouldn't talk about that.
And then Tony's lost a ton of weight.
I know.
Tony, are you being creative with vegetables like that
Yeah.
you've never heard of before?
Yeah. I'm eating like
turnip?
anything. I've had turnip.
Yeah.
A puree of turnip.
Yeah?
With
You know what?
garlic
I've never
and onion
had
is
turnip
great.
in my life.
Yeah.
And I've never had pureed turnip.
Well, listen.
One goes without the
That's
other.
right.
You can't puree a turnip if you don't have a turnip. Oh, that'd be a good
Turnips
saying.
are a great. Nobody knows this, but like when you buy a turnip or a
Rutabaga,
celery root, if you have an air fryer and you cut it up like French fries, you
Yeah.
have to get a mandolin and cut it up
yeah.
and put it in the air fryer. It tastes like you're eating French fries.
Yeah.
But you're actually getting a helping of vegetables.
Vegetables, yeah.
Thanks
there's
for
all
joining us
kinds
on
of
the
varieties.
Studio
so you
21
know-
food
No,
food
but
podcast.
But you know what rutabaga is
Yeah,
now,
sure.
and I've never
Tony's
eaten
very-
that before in my
Tony's
life.
very about
You
this.
know what? Brussels sprouts.
Oh, I
which
love
I
Brussels.
Never,
Right.
You know, they look
They're
like little
yucky.
cabbages.
Yeah.
But if you roast them up, and
Yeah,
put
with a little olive oil and salt and pepper.
How much weight have you lost?
fantastic. I've lost about 60 pounds, a
Wow.
little over now.
Wow. You look amazing.
Wow.
Oh, go on.
But
Go on.
vegetables are your
Go on.
friend.
No,
Rick.
I mean,
vegetables
go on.
are your friend.
No, go on.
Go on.
No, like Thanksgiving, everybody we had the traditional everything. And what I did was I roasted up a whole bunch of
Vegetables?
root vegetables.
Yeah.
Some squash, potatoes, rutabaga.
Yep.
Just roasted them up with olive oil and salt.
And you didn't feel
And I
cheated or anything?
No, because I like eating that way.
Let me ask you about the pie night, though.
Yeah, pie night I
How
did
was
okay.
that?
It was great. I mean, I keep up the illusion. Like anytime someone saw me, I had a fork full of pie. You know what I mean?
the fake fork.
Hey, look over there. Wee, right behind me. You know. But you know what
So
I
you
did?
didn't eat much that
No,
night?
I did. What I did is I took like one bite out of the pies I was interested in.
Okay.
You know, like I know what a store-bought apple pie
Yeah.
tastes like, so I don't need
Who
that.
brings store-bought apple
You know, people
pie?
try to
Some ringers,
slide
yeah.
in.
Listen,
But I mostly ate the insides.
but if
know,
you
to keep
had a
away-
bite, did it make your stomach upset?
No,
Like,
not so
okay.
much. I didn't go overboard. You know?
Okay.
And like on Thanksgiving, I had a helping of trifle.
Yep.
Which was mostly fruit and a little pudding and stuff, but I didn't overdo it.
Right. You in your past life, you may have had 3 pieces of pie and a couple servings of ice cream, and so that's great.
Yeah. So
And you're doing well.
Yeah, pretty good.
You look good. We all look good. I don't know.
I
if
like
you tune in.
wine.
Yeah.
I like wine.
That's a serving of fruit right there.
Don't spin your chair
Yeah.
too much.
So,
'cause
yeah, so I
didn't-
saved all
you
my
didn't-
calories
You didn't
for
put
wine.
the cap back on that one, so you got to be careful on that.
Right.
So,
So this is the only reason I brought all of that up.
Yep.
Anybody who deals with Carter Law
yep.
from now on, the best, legal services
Oh, you're
in the real estate world. Don't stress out Rick.
Yeah, be nice to
He
Ricardo.
just had a stress test, and stop stressing him out. Just
and
do
I've
what
been
he
nice
says.
to him. I've been nice to him for like
been
48
very
hours
good.
now.
That's
I
got to
know.
be the hardest thing that's
is.
ever happened on the planet.
It has been.
I mean, yes, Rick is going to be like,
Why do you think I'm drinking?
right. Like those words coming out of your mouth have got to be
You
like,
listen, you. Oh,
Yes,
what do you
sir.
need, honey?
Yes, sir,
whatever
honey.
you need.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yes.
Did Stu tell you to be nice to me too? Stu's
Well,
been checking in.
I don't
too.
want to admit this, but every day when I go off to work, I say I'm leaving, and he goes, "Can you be nice to everyone today?"
So
I
you have
say-
to get instructed on that.
Every day.
Oh, you've been very
Just
good.
I go, I try
A helpful reminder. Just be nice
every single day.
every day. Sure.
So most people, so I'm gone for a whole day, and that's like catastrophic.
It was
To a lot of
catastrophic.
people, I do a lot of little things for people, and
Right.
so I'm gone for a day. So I try to explain to most people were pretty good. Oh, sorry to hear that. Just told one guy I was going. I go, I'm sorry I wasn't here yesterday. I had this,
Right.
this thing. He goes, all right. Well, you're here today. Can you do this?
Yeah. What do they call that? Narcissistic conversationalism?
very good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
I don't really give a rat's ass
Right.
what you got going on. This is what
Sounds
I
like
have
you're all
going
right. If
on.
you're
Hey,
back
hey,
here.
hey, how terrible. Would you run down to the gift shop and get me a little something nice?
Remember when I had chickenpox about 20 years ago?
How could I forget?
I used that excuse
He
for
was
about a year and
out.
a half.
He was out for 2 or 3 weeks.
Who
and
gets chicken pox as an adult?
I know.
was bad.
That was why it was
yeah.
bad.
Oh,
It
because
was-
you had kids.
I had kids.
Yeah, those
I had
filthy.
kids.
They're like. You might as well lick a petri dish if you have
I
children.
know. I had a standing appointment every Friday afternoon with our pediatrician. He goes, "How many kids do you have?" But they were like a rotating.
Yeah.
and the only way I could get there was on a Friday late afternoon.
Yeah,
So
of course.
She used to have kids just so she could take the maternity
I did.
leave.
Sure.
Yeah.
That's why I have my second and my third.
She read
Actually, that's why I have my first too.
All of them.
I couldn't wait to have a vacation.
She had just written the handbook and said she gets like 12 weeks off
Yeah.
for each kid.
paid.
So here
So
she is.
maybe just in general, everybody, let's lessen your stress.
I like that.
And a great way of
I
doing
like
that is if you're buying a property or house, call Carter Law.
Yeah,
you're
don't
good.
ask for Rick because he's a little bit
Yeah.
stressed.
You guys are nice segues
Yeah.
today. Those are nice.
Renee and Renelle will take care of
Oh,
you.
yeah. Renelle just told me, and she's probably watching now. She's very busy. Has she
Then Renee will have to take it because I'm busy here.
And Renee Carter just had a birthday.
She did.
She did, yeah.
The big 3-0.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
You don't look old enough to have a 30-year-old
You're-
daughter.
Thank God for these heart attacks.
I know.
So nice.
Every couple of years, it gives me a reset button. Yep.
See how long it
See how
lasts.
it is next
No,
Tuesday.
And then what happens is, then I appreciate him because if something ever happened to him, I'd be really sad,
Right.
And I wouldn't have a job.
Right.
Yeah. Not in that order.
And then I'd have to come up with the whole list for our podcasts.
That's right.
Right.
So there's a lot of things
You've
I would
been
have
angling to host this
to.
anyway.
No, I'm not. I like being a wingman.
All right,
wingman.
all right, all right.
Yeah, right.
We
So-
got a
What do we
lot.
got?
We got a lot of real estate.
Well,
today.
let's get into it then.
A lot
Sure.
of real estate.
Looks like we got a couple softballs here.
We got some softballs.
Yeah.
You know what it is? And I said, let's, because of honor of less stress today.
Yes.
I think we're going to have a softball day.
We're gonna go with the
I only wanted
basics.
you two on today. Let's not, because when we bring the fourth person on, we kind of cater to their industry, which is fine. But we actually get a lot of little stupid.
You should not call.
stupid.
There is
No,
no stupid questions
There's no
in real
stupid
estate.
questions there.
Until
Ed
there is.
Sullivan, delete that. Edit that right off the bat. I didn't mean
Stupid
I
questions.
did.
Right.
I kind of did, but that's okay. So
No.
not really.
Questions that
that happen a lot that we seem to get a lot. So I figured, today might be a nice day on less stressed day that we could talk about.
Okay.
Yeah, and let me say this. The question only becomes stupid if you answer it. You know what I mean?
Right.
If you just stare at people,
Yeah.
it just stays there in the ether, and they don't know if it's dumb or not.
Right.
So there's a way around that. You just stare at them like, "What are you, a moron?" And then
'Cause I don't know the
eventually they
answer.
back down and go, "That must be a stupid."
All right, so most of these are very valid questions. We do get some stupid. I gotta ask.
Yeah.
I gotta
We
say
do.
that. One is, when do I have to move out of the property as a seller? Well, before the closing.
I
Some
think we've
people don't
talked
understand.
about
I know,
that.
but let's just we
We
gotta
had a
remind.
very
Hit it, yeah.
difficult seller.
Sure.
And the whole way through, so difficult. He fought about the time.
Yeah.
He fought about the location. He fought about the things that you just shouldn't fight about.
You just sold your house. Get out.
Right.
Right.
And when push came to shove, we couldn't record and release his proceeds because he hadn't moved out of the house. And we're like, we thought he was fighting about the time
Right.
to give him more time to move out of his house.
But at closing, he goes, "Oh, when am I supposed to be out?"
At the closing?
At the closing.
Yeah.
At
An
the
hour
registry.
ago.
Yeah, 20,
Yeah.
20
Yeah.
minutes from now. Listen, if you find yourself in bed saying to the new owners, quit hogging the covers, it's time to
leave.
move out.
Yeah, what is your dog doing here?
Right.
Now, conversely to that, buyers sometimes ask, "When can we move in?"
Because I have my
Very-
hardwood floor guys coming at 1.
right.
Well, your closing's not till 2, so
Right.
you can't have him
You can't-
go in.
No, you can't.
It's
move in.
amazing what they got lined up for the day of the closing,
Right.
which is fine. It's fine, but sometimes closing gets pushed off an hour or two.
We had one lady wouldn't read anything. She just sign, and we're like, "You're in such a hurry." And she said she's buying a new house.
Right.
She goes, "The Comcast guy's going to be there in 10 minutes."
Oh, yeah.
It was so important.
Not your house yet.
No,
Right.
but we were getting there. We were
Right,
going to
right,
be.
right,
but
right.
she didn't care about all these legal documents. What she cared about was that
getting
her
cable.
TV was going
Sure.
to
When
be.
was cable getting pulled in, right?
Yeah.
Right.
If she didn't have TV,
It
she'd
was-
have to talk to
it
the
was-
husband.
it was
And that's
fight
a
night.
priority. Oh, yeah, it was
Yes,
fight night for
so
her
they had
husband.
to
Oh, yeah.
Look at the next
Yeah, and if he's
McGregor
not
fight.
watching the fights, he's fighting with her.
I
Right.
know.
Yeah, so he's it's
Maybe-
self,
Well, that's what I meant.
self-preservation.
Maybe she was smarter than we thought
Yeah,
she was.
Yeah.
I know. So I guess a comment would be, if you're closing at 1, you might not be able to move in quite at 2 o'clock.
Right. So what happens is you close, and sometimes it takes a half hour, 45 minutes, and then
No, that's good. Explain why. Well, explain why
Yeah.
they don't get right in right away.
so what happens is then after the closing happens, then we have to record it at the
Right.
registry
Right.
of deeds, and sometimes we can do it right at our desk, which it's
Electronically.
it's electronic.
Yeah.
Or if it's registered land, we'd have to hop in our car and drive to that registry and record
get-
it,
right.
and that could be another hour or two.
Of course.
So
'Cause then the big book has to open. They got to blow the dust off the pages.
And they handwrite it.
Get their quill pen out.
Yeah.
Find the ink.
yeah.
It can be daunting.
So, but that's how we used to. I mean, that's how we learned how to do closings, was
Right.
having to do everything by hand and
Right,
like, you know what I
right,
mean. But
right.
so it does. It
The good
is
old
a
days.
process, and if you want people to put your hardwood floors in,
Remember the original fax machines, like
Oh
the
my God.
scrolling paper?
Oh,
and-
with the shiny paper.
I would,
yeah.
and it used to roll off the
Yeah,
thing,
yeah, yeah,
and I
yeah.
would come into the office like on a Monday morning, and there'd be curly paper, like it was like a flood of curly paper, and I had to figure out like
what belonged where.
Oh, my
where
God.
to cut it.
This shows how long we've been doing
Right.
this. One of the banks, we get on these
Oh.
lists to be able to represent, the closing.
Closings, yeah.
And they said we only have one requirement, is that you buy a fax machine.
Oh my God.
and
Imagine
Rick was out the door in 5 seconds.
Yeah,
that's
like,
when we got
that
the
was like
scrolling paper.
witchcraft.
Yeah.
back then.
Before that, they used to have remember the carbon paper?
Oh, my
I mean,
God.
we're-
Oh, yeah.
We're digressing a
I
little
can't
bit.
do it. I can't even go there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Remember
You won't
before-
see her good side.
No.
She's being very nice today on stress less day.
I worked at another attorney's office, believe it or not, like out of, when I was in college.
right.
And he was the closing attorney, and our attorney's office was the seller's attorney. And he
You're not
like
gonna tell that
I am
story.
gonna tell.
Would
the
he
story.
kidnap you?
He charged like $10 too much for something.
You did?
No, the
Oh,
other
the other
office.
guy.
their very frugal office.
No, you had it on your settlement statement, but the settlement statements, like...
Oh, right.
You had to type them, literally type them by
Right.
hand. And so they say, can you call Attorney Carter's office and have this removed? And it wasn't me, it was who I was working for. And I call, and he's a wicked nice guy. And then when I got to the part where they wanted the $10
Goes back,
removed,
right.
he goes, what's the big deal? And that,
$10.
Here's your $10.
Right.
and that was 32 years ago. He goes,
I'll give you $10 if you don't make me change this whole thing over to
'cause
retype a
he
carbon.
didn't have a paralegal. He didn't have a secretary.
It
He
was
didn't
just
have
him.
it was just him.
Right.
I would have gave 100 if they said that this is
Right. I got to go through all this again.
What's
Here's
the
$100.
big deal? I'm like, whoa.
They're gonna get a bat.
He's still like that.
I know.
My
But he never raises his voice. It was only at me.
my brother's closing. He fought for $40.
Right.
I wasn't leaving the cape until I get it.
He wasn't going to leave the He wasn't going to leave the
The
office.
reason
until,
for that was because he didn't have to retype a form.
Right.
It's
Wow.
an easy go into a computer
No, I
and
just thought it was
fix.
fair. I was
Yeah.
fighting for Tony V's kids.
What's the big deal?
No, you're doing so well. You
I know.
hang in there. You hang in there till next Tuesday.
Right.
Your birth certificate doesn't have your right name.
No, my birth certificate. That's how much my parents didn't care about me.
I think that's
One
a
little
bad
bit.
assumption.
It's spelled. My name is spelled wrong
I know,
on my
but
birth
she
certificate.
just made a mistake, and she might have been under the
It
influence.
was my dad.
Oh, it was your
Yeah,
father?
my mother was in having me. Back then, the guys wouldn't go near
Maybe
the
he
house.
was.
right.
Maybe he was across the street
No,
having
no.
a cigar.
I was the attempt at a girl. They had the two boys like within 11 months of each other.
Yeah.
My brother.
Oh, and you were a
Stephen my
huge
brother.
disappointment?
Right, and then there was they wanted a girl, and then I came out, so there was a huge. And
minute, is there-
let's be honest, I lived up to being a huge disappointment to them my entire life. I'm not saying I'm not culpable in this at all.
They got what
But
they
I'm
wanted.
just saying, right. It's called a self-fulfilling prophecy. You know what I mean? This kid's a nitwit, so I grew up a nitwit. And then then there's like 4 or 5 years of my sister. I don't know. I think 4 years, and then they finally had my sister. So when she came along, I was completely forgotten.
just completely
about.
dropped.
Right. I raised myself completely. You know
Wow,
what I
there
mean?
seems like a theme among us
Yeah.
hosts here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't be looking at me. My
Oh.
mother's still alive.
Oh, that's true. And
Right.
you would never say anything
No.
bad about her. So,
No.
speaking of spouses, if the spouse doesn't own the property, do they have to show up or sign the deed? Or do
I got this one.
okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
Yes, they do.
Okay, thank you. All right, my
and,
next
Moving
question.
and Tony knows why.
I do know why, because of
Homestead.
Homestead Act.
Automatic homestead rights.
Right. That if you're in that house and married to a spouse long enough,
Yeah.
it's common property.
Yeah.
No, well, kind of.
Yeah.
Well, they just can't. You can't be
You
displaced.
can't put them out of the house.
Yeah, you can't
Right,
kick
right,
them out of the
correct,
house.
right.
You can put a lien on the property, but you can't force
Right.
them to sell the
Sell the
property,
property,
to
right.
pay for the lien.
Right, like if they get divorced and you don't.
Well, if
you
they
get
get divorced, it
divorced,
changes everything, right?
It does?
Yes. That'll
If
be
they
for
move out.
That'll be for our advanced class.
Well,
Yeah.
if you get divorced and the person who owns the house moves out, can they force the other person who's still there to leave?
Well, if they're not married, right? Or
Depends
how
on the
does that-
separation
yeah.
agreement.
Right.
So the
It gets a little
separation-
sticky.
It gets sticky, but to that point, if the husband moves out, we actually have a situation like that right now, where the husband has moved out, they haven't technically divorced. So what do you do in that situation? So we have to have affidavits put, even though she's married, the guy does
somebody
not
else,
live
or no?
there. No.
Oh, yeah, she's the same. Okay.
Yeah. So even though they're married, he's abandoned the property pretty
I
much.
see.
So
Which
it's
is what
not
they
as-
say you never should do if
No,
you get
you're
a
right.
divorce.
Oh,
You
you're,
Right. Oh, no,
you're listening
yeah.
to those other
Oh
commercials.
yeah,
You're right.
yeah. You don't leave
stay,
the house. Yeah,
yeah,
right.
at all
No matter how
costs.
miserable it is.
Yeah.
If you have to put up a wall between.
I think of a lot.
right down
I
the
think a lot
middle
of
the
people
bed.
do it now.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah,
No,
yeah.
it is a
They
good
know,
tip. Why
sure.
should you move out? And then
Right.
you lose all your rights. You're right. You lose.
Yeah, once you move out, the
Right,
the
you've given
standard
up.
thing is that you've just abandoned the
Sure.
property and you've abandoned your homestead rights because
Sure.
it's not your house anymore. It's not your.
And you've abandoned all the records that are around the house, all all your statements,
Yep.
your computer.
Right. And the takeaway there is just stay married and miserable like the rest of us.
Right.
Right.
Right. The other 50%
The other
of
50
America.
right, who just
Ed
grin and
Sullivan's
bear
writing
it
this down. Stay married and be miserable.
like the rest of us.
All right, I got it.
You got it.
Oh, poor Stewie. He's probably thinking the same thing.
No, he's not.
Oh, everyone
Yes.
thinks the same thing.
They do?
Yes. It's not just us. What do you think? We're unique.
There's only 3 people in America,
who think
sitting
this
on
way.
this
Right.
podium right now.
I know
he's
my
like,
wife right now is going, if I could get rid of them, but still keep the house.
That's why Chris had her trip all planned.
Oh, yeah.
You were supposed to kick the bucket. She was taking the money and going off on her trip.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. So that,
Only kidding, Christine.
That'll be
Sorry.
a story for another time.
Where does she go on her all-girls trip?
She goes supposedly shopping for the kids up in like Kittery, Maine.
Oh, okay.
I've
Yeah.
been shopping for the kids, too.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm the kid. I love it, Bed Bath & Beyond. You're buying a beautiful new comforter, and they say, now, do you need is this a
A
gift?
gift.
And I go, yes, it is.
For
Do you
myself.
need a gift receipt? And I said, no, because it's for me.
As you do get older, you're supposedly going out shopping for your kids and family, but it's usually for yourself, right?
My kids have everything,
I
and
know.
so do
Yeah,
yours,
it-
and so do yours.
Right.
Have
Yeah.
everything they could possibly want or need.
Yeah. We just went through this. You know, we're having a little getaway to New York for the family.
Oh, that's
you know,
nice.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, so
Right
as the
before
present,
Christmas.
yeah.
So my wife says, as the present, we won't get anything for each other.
That's what we're
big or
doing.
anything.
That's what we're doing.
We'll go to New York for a weekend and
Yeah.
see a show and do
that's
whatever.
nice.
Get my daughter. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
It's
Yeah.
more of an experience as
Right.
opposed to.
That's a nice Christmas
Yeah.
right.
present.
And then last night she goes, "Can I have your cash card?"
Oh, yeah.
And I go, "Yeah." What are you doing? She goes, I just got to finish Gus's Christmas shopping. I go, I thought we.
What happened to the
What
idea?
happened to the? Oh, he needs boots.
She broke the rules.
Yeah.
She does it all the time.
Yeah, tell them about the gift cards, the Dunkin' Donuts gift cards.
Oh,
I love this story.
yeah. I just took my son to breakfast. Right? He was home around. We go to breakfast at our favorite place, Mike's In-Town Diner. And they got turkey and duck hash. It's fantastic.
No.
Duck hash.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Is that on the diet?
Yeah,
All right.
yeah, it's fine.
All
All
right.
vegetables and turkey. I got the turkey. I don't know about duck.
Okay, yeah.
Not a huge fan of duck.
Oh, yeah.
It's
a little
out
greasy
of my
or-
wheelhouse. I
yeah.
don't know. But he wanted to try the duck. That's beside the point. So I take him to breakfast. You know, we have a nice conversation. I get along with my son great. On the way back, I know he's going to be not at his work-study job for a while, so I hand him $50 and I go ahead, have a
Yeah.
meal on me.
That's what
later.
we do.
Yeah, it's what we do, right? I'm driving home. I get a call from my wife. She goes, "Could you stop at Dunkin' Donuts and pick up 2 $25 gift certificates?" So I say, "Sure." I think they're for a teacher or a friend, whatever.
Yeah, whatever. She told you to do it.
I
you
did it, and I did
Yeah.
it. Right. So I get home. She writes out cards. She hands me the cards. She goes, "Will you take these downstairs to the boys?" And my son and his roommate. I go, "I just gave the guy $50 and bought him dinner. A breakfast. How much? If you told me it was for them, I would have told you to stick it. No, of course not.
That's funny. They get you coming and going,
Oh,
Tony.
yeah.
All right. What other questions do we have?
Why is my mortgage payoff higher?
That's a good question.
than-
Every seller always says this.
I have a mortgage statement in front of me for December 1st.
Right. I owe $350,000.
Let's just say that.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
And then they close in December, and the payoff is $352.
I see.
And they always call and say, "Oh no, your payoff's wrong.
Right.
I made a mortgage
Mortgage
payment.
payment.
Da 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 da."
Right.
And then we look and we say, "Well, what do you have for a principal balance?" And they say $350,000. I go, but what happens is 99% of the mortgages out there pay their mortgage in arrears. So on December 1st, they pay the
You're paying
interest
for
for
November.
November.
Right.
Most people don't understand
Right.
that.
So it gets prorated to when
Correct.
it's
Yes.
so you owe interest for November.
Right.
So you make your December 1st payment.
Right.
You are paying for November and so on and so
Right,
forth.
right, right.
So
So
that's-
unlike rent, where you're paying for the upfront month, you're actually paying for the back month.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
Yep.
Who do you make the check out to? I get this every question.
Well,
every closing.
a buyer should make the check out to themselves, and everyone will say, who should I make it payable to? So when you're going to the bank to get your $35,000 to go to your purchase of your
for
home,
your down payment.
and you're taking out your $35,000 out of your account, you make the check payable to yourself. And the reason you do that is if something happens along the way and your walkthrough didn't go well or the closing doesn't happen, it's still your money. If you made it payable to the seller,
Right.
You might not be able to get that money back in the bank.
because then you got to go cash that check, and it's in someone else's
Right.
bank.
So it's for your own protection, and everyone
Right.
always goes, "Are you sure?" I mean, and they can make it payable to us, but it's most
Now, is it
mostly
done
safe.
mostly electronically now, too, or is it still paper checks?
The buyer typically brings a bank check because we're very, very weary of
Wire.
wire because there's serious wire fraud going on in every industry. So we're on high alert and
Right.
prefer not to get a wire.
I see.
So we get a bank check, which is kind of like getting a wire.
Right.
So how's the wire fraud been working?
The wire fraud.
What's a typical wire scam?
A wire scam is like somebody hacks in, not to our system because we're secure, and we call our IT guys all the time and say, "Are you sure no one can get in?"
Yeah,
Yes, no.
right.
We have firewalls. We're very protected. Other people, like if they're using an AOL account, like a home, computer that doesn't have a firewall or whatnot, they could see that I'm a borrower. I'm communicating with Attorney Rick Carter, and Attorney Rick Carter is like the day before the closing. We'll call you. We'll give you the amount that you need to go get the check for.
Right.
Okay. And then the hacker would start writing to me and say, "You know what? This is Attorney Carter." Like they'll copy
his logo
and say,
or
"Instead
whatever.
of a check, I want you to wire
Wire
the money to this account."
Right.
And I think I'm conversing with Attorney Ricardo
Right.
because I'm not smart enough to understand that there's some
Right.
fraud going on. So I go, if I have wired my money to that where they told us to in the
Right.
email, the money's gone.
It's gone. You
Gone.
can't get that back.
Every attorney we tell that story to says, either they have been almost hit or a friend of theirs almost hit. We actually had to talk to an attorney the other day where he said we get these payoff letters for the sellers, and they say, all right, this is how much you got to pay off the seller
Right.
to pay off that loan. Someone forged that and sent this payoff letter to the closing attorney. Says, all right, this is how much we need, and this is where you wire it.
So the
to.
hacker intercepts a true payoff.
Copies it.
And then fixes it all up, and unbeknownst to the attorney,
Right.
And so we have a huge volume of loans that go through. Or not huge, but
A fair number.
yeah. So I know, the Wells Fargo payoffs and Mr. Cooper payoffs.
Right. So if you see a bogus
And some banks don't let you wire. They want a certified check,
check.
or they want you to, they want you to overnight it. So I think most people in our industry are on high alert. And like I say to the sellers' attorneys, if we have to wire out net proceeds, don't even send it to me. Don't fax it to me. I don't want to see it. Bring it to the closing.
Right.
That way,
good idea. There's no right.
it's being handed from attorney to attorney
Right.
with
We
no
make everything
no middle
confirmed at
person.
closing.
Right.
Yeah.
All right, so if a buyer defaults, we're getting through a lot of these.
What do you mean if a buyer defaults?
If a buyer defaults, how much money they usually give 2 deposits. I get this question all the time too.
If a buyer defaults, they lose any money that they've put down on the property.
So not just the $1,000 they gave at the offer stage, they
Right.
also lose that $20,000 they gave at purchase and sale
But
stage.
I know a really crafty attorney that can probably get your deposit monies back.
guys
but
are too good.
You can't advertise that. Like
No.
we can't
Right.
say,
No.
you can default and I'll get your money
Right.
back.
You can't tell someone to default.
No.
They'll call us and say, you know what, I have cold feet. I don't want to go through with this. And a good real estate attorney will be able to get them out of it somehow.
Somehow. Right.
Yeah, a loophole somewhere.
Right.
It's almost
Do you write in loopholes that only you know about?
yes.
Yes.
Well, do you remember
Yes.
my friend
I do.
that the seller tried to back out after they were in contract?
No.
She called me
Yes.
up crying. She's buying a beautiful house in Wyndham. And I said, you hang on there. Stop crying, okay?
Right.
Send me the
Pull yourself together, woman.
send me the purchase and sale agreement. I sent it to Rick, and she's now living in that home.
Yeah.
And he forced the seller's hand. With
Really?
Yep.
How do you do something like that?
I forget what the details were.
That's for our advanced class. We're running out of time for
All right.
today.
It was a tricky
tricky
thing,
maneuver.
but he got it done.
Right.
So that's my point.
That's why he's the best.
That's why we're happy he's here.
781.
And I'm going to be nice.
9222.
And I'm going to be nice to you
Yeah, I
until
know.
the end of the year.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. I have like December
that's-
20.
I was hoping
That
to
is
get
a
through today.
bold. That's a bold statement.
Yeah.
The whole rest of the year. A month
All right.
plus.
Should we talk about this one? This is an advanced one, but maybe we should just excess deposit. What is an excess?
Oh, excess
There's so much I could say right there. So much.
I told you it
Tony-
was advanced.
So much is running through my head when I hear the word
Tony,
excess
Tony,
deposit.
this is a clean
So
family
much.
show. Clean family show.
Well, you know what we should do is have your interpretation with an excess deposit and swing it back this way to see what his is.
So sometimes the buyer will give a $30,000 deposit.
Tony's thinking this whole time he's saying, this isn't what? No.
No, go ahead.
I didn't drive all the way over here, so I couldn't tell my excess deposit joke. Go ahead,
Keep
Tony.
saying excess deposit right on you. Now go ahead.
So a buyer wants to buy a house. He puts down $30,000, but so the broker holds the money in escrow until day of closing. And if the brokers are owed $24,000, the brokers grab their $24,000
Right.
because it's the buyer's money, but it becomes the seller's money
Right.
at closing. Do you understand that?
Right.
So there's $6,000 left over, and we do a line item on the closing disclosure
Oh, right.
that writes excess deposit $6,000. And that comes from the broker's office because we do not have it.
You don't have it.
Right.
Right.
So when they look at their bottom line net proceeds, they say, well, I was expecting $5,000 or $6,000 more.
Right.
Well, they're getting our bottom line net proceeds and they're getting a check for the $6,000.
An extra check.
Yeah.
Is that what you were thinking?
No, I was thinking after a bad drunken night at Taco Bell, you might have an excess deposit.
Ed Sullivan's writing down now. Excess deposit definition 1 and excess deposit definition 2.
Kathy's definition and Tony's definition.
Right.
All right, I have a couple. We can actually do these by yes or no. I just got to get these out. This question I always get all the time, too. So if I'm paying for the insurance for the first year, does that mean I do not have to pay anything into my insurance escrow for the first year because I'm a year ahead?
No.
No, because you're getting ready for what? The second year.
It's
right?
so I don't know why I need to escrow for my insurance. I've already paid it. You're paying it from 2018 to 2019. But when you start escrowing every month,
Right.
it's going toward your bill that's coming due and payable in a year on 2019. The lender always wants to see the insurance paid off. The insurance paid ahead of time. Always a year in advance.
see.
It can never lapse. It can never not be paid.
All right.
And
Let me ask you a question. No, this is semi-legitimate.
all right, go ahead.
If a deal goes belly up,
Yeah.
right? What's the order of people getting money?
If the,
I mean, do you guys get hosed? Or
We do.
We totally get
you
hosed.
You don't make a nickel.
we don't charge people.
If the closing does not happen,
Right.
we are out of luck.
Broker's out of luck.
Typically,
Bank's out of luck.
Now, that's all good questions. So a broker might have in their listing agreement that we're going to get paid
No matter what.
even if it's default.
I
So
see.
as a seller's attorney, a lot of times I cross that language out because we don't want the brokers to get paid, unfortunately, because if the seller doesn't reap the benefits,
Right.
then they have no money to pay the commission.
Right.
Right.
So we kind of modify that language
and
a little bit.
it's not really a like an industry standard, right?
Right,
And
correct.
we all know that going in.
Right.
We all know that typically when you get to purchase and sale stage and they've all signed the purchase and sale agreement, it's pretty much a done deal. You know, they have to jump through some hoops, but they're usually pre-qualified. We usually have looked at the title.
Right.
There's really not many title problems that stop a closing, or there aren't very many closings that we come across that have problems that can't be solved.
Right.
And most
By the
brokers
time-
don't have a hard line stance. All right, so deal didn't fall through.
Because
but
they'll
you
never
still
get
owe.
another client.
Right. So most brokers are pretty good about it. We end up a lot of times get deposit monies back. We get everyone out of the contract, but we've spent X amount of dollars. We
Right,
don't charge the buyers for
Right.
that.
Most people aren't backing out of deals maliciously
Of
just to
course.
make an extra
Of
buck
course.
or
Correct,
two. And
correct,
so,
correct. Exactly.
So you're letting them out, and
Right.
you'll do
But guess
you
what?
can.
That buyer's coming back to us.
Yes.
And the buyer and or seller is going back to their real estate agent.
Right.
So we just lost out on this deal, but
There'll be more
there's another
deals.
deal coming.
Right.
So if you make enemies in one transaction, the word travels very quickly.
Yeah.
But we're a big referral business, and that's why we're as busy as we are, because people say, oh, we love working with Carter Law Office. They're great. And then that's how that goes.
No wonder why you guys are stressed. I'm just stressed.
I know, we're
hearing
trying to
about
make
it.
everyone happy.
Right. You're trying
That's
to,
what we do about.
Yeah, like
that's
like
today's
juggling-
hashtag line for Ed Sullivan.
Right.
We try to make everyone happy.
Right.
We might
Right.
have to end with that one.
Except 2019, we might be making ourselves happier.
Sure.
Right?
Right.
You told me.
We
You
are.
told me.
No, we
What's
are.
that?
We
Okay.
are.
Right.
Wow, should we wrap it up on
Yeah.
with that
Sure.
hashtag?
That's awesome.
That was a good one.
Yeah,
We're not
good
bringing
show.
on any more guests ever again.
Sometimes the guests get in our way.
They get in our way,
We
absolutely.
gotta kick them aside.
Yeah,
We
with
have
their
to-
foolish information.
Thanks for joining us here on the Real Estate House Party. Kathy Holtshouser, paralegal extraordinaire. Tony V, comedian extraordinaire. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next week, and we'll see if Kathy is still in this nice new mode
I
she's in
know.
now. What do you think, Tony?
I think, yeah.
Get out of my way. I need my wine. Where's my wine? Where'd my wine go?
And I will be at Giggles.
Oh, you
this,
will?
this weekend.
Well, good for
Nice.
The
you.
30th and the 1st
That's
of
awesome.
November and then December
Wow,
1st.
December 1st?
Yes, I will be there.
Because your
so
career
come on by.
skyrocketing,
Skyrocket.
you got a call to go to Giggles.
Giggles.
That's southbound, isn't
Good
it?
Southbound
job.
Route 1.
Good
I've
job.
always liked southbound.
Much better.
We'll see you at Giggles.
The views and opinions expressed by the hosts, guests, or callers of this program do not necessarily reflect the opinions of the Studio 21 Podcast Cafe, the United Podcast Network, its partners, or affiliates.